Hi everyone, and welcome to the footage that's been released of Broken Arrow yesterday at the Home of Wargamers live event. Let's get one thing clear straight away. This is a trailer of alpha footage, and it's a trailer. This was a pre-custom made scenario, so it's gonna look faster than a normal game would because they're charging units at each other for it to look exciting. There's no necessity to do this in a normal game, but watching a 10-minute video of these guys sitting in a tree line with a tank not doing anything would make for a pretty boring trailer. So that's why it looks so fast, I think, rather than the game necessarily playing that way. So, with that out the way, that's our sort of precursor. Let's get down to what we're seeing. So we've got Abrams tanks, we've got some APCs from the US side, and we've got some attack choppers. I really love that artillery that's coming in. That looks great. The MRLS artillery looks really good. I noticed there are some health bars popping up which people are concerned about. May I remind you that there are health bars in Wargame as well. You just have to click on the unit to see them. So, you know, there are health bars in Wargame too. The only difference is here it's appearing above the unit at times. It makes it a little bit easier to see than having to worry about clicking on them, I suppose. Lots of tank-on-tank action. Those are some APCs with autocannons by the looks of it. Very effective against the chopper. But obviously very easily taken out by the tanks. Again, more of the artillery coming in. It's really nice to see it being used. It looks a lot better than what we get in Wargame. Obviously, it's a lot more modern. Infantry running around there that came out of the destroyed APC. I mean, I assume that is an Apache of some description. Just in range now to see the infantry in the forest. You will notice, by the way, that when the mouse cursor goes over the forest, it actually turns into a little forest symbol next to the cursor itself. So you can see that that's indicating cover. And here we go, heading towards these buildings. You can see there are infantry in those buildings shooting out. I assume with RPGs or similar. Presuming these are Russian forces. And they are doing damage, they are destroying, or doing a lot of damage to those APCs, causing the infantry to be deployed early. And then we're going to get to watch them run towards the building. You can see little shots coming out of the buildings towards the infantry. I think someone had commented that they would like to see infantry in each individual window. I don't think that's going to happen in a game like this because of the scale of it. This isn't, you know, a small scale like some other games that have been mentioned and it's being compared to. This is going to be huge. This is just one tiny section of a map. You have to remember that. Lots of damage coming in on those tanks. I think, again, mostly from tanks. It's mostly the Abrams doing the damage there, I think. Now, the other thing I've noticed is obviously choppers doing attack runs with rockets. Now, that's something we don't see very often in Wargame, but, you know, you can do it. They just tend to hover on the spot when they fire a lot in Wargame. But in real life, I suppose they keep moving to make themselves harder to hit. However, you know, you will have situations where you sit back and are using long-range missiles for anti-tank. Now this section I really love. I really love watching these artillery pieces fire. Obviously all the artwork's going to be tightened up. This is just early footage. But I think the explosions and everything from the artillery look really good. Now the other thing I saw were people saying that they weren't very happy that tanks were firing in unison. I mean, again, it's a trailer. It looks good to have this sort of rapid-fire cannon fire. You know, I don't know. It looks good in a trailer. That's why it's there, I think, more than anything else. And like shots like this, obviously, you're not going to do that in game unless you're making a video. So I might do that, but most people won't. It's just something that looks nice for the trailer. And the maps, you know, I've heard comments about, just while we're sat here, the roads and things being a bit wide in places. They certainly are. But this is all very early alpha. All of this is going to be changed. The rocket trails being a bit big, probably yes. Again, that'll be tightened up. It's nice to see a few anti-air units on the go, though. At least we're getting to see a variety of units in this trailer. And we're not just getting to see rockets, we're also getting to see, you know, cannons or machine guns firing at these things. Very effective chopper rush there, though. And let's be honest, it's not as if a chopper rush doesn't work in wargames sometimes. Now, I was trying to decide what this part of the trailer was, and I think it's to try and show off a little bit of what it's like going up and down hills with the vehicles. Because obviously the terrain on this map is quite hilly in places compared to what I would necessarily be used to in Wargame based on their sizes of maps. I almost feel as if the maps here are going to be bigger than Wargames. The scaling just seems different. You can see infantry hiding in bush lines and stuff there. You know, they're dead now, but I think the bush line sort of hidden units will still exist in Broken Arrow by the looks of it. Or it was just a coincidence that was stood there, I'm not sure. But I suspect that we'll be seeing similar sort of bush line hidden units as we do in Wargame. Now we get to see some artillery versus what I assume are mortars. Those are some big artillery pieces for the Russians. Russian tanks. I mean, people were saying that they were concerned they hadn't seen Russian units in these videos, but those are Russian tanks, people. They are there. So, no stress. I'm not going to pretend to decide exactly what tanks they were, but they're Russian tanks. And again, the landscape will look a little bit bland at this stage. Again, we're in early alpha, and this is just to show things off a little bit. There's going to be a lot of editing to these maps. A lot of editing, and Felix has already said that before. And again, you can see over some of those tanks what appears to be health bars, but remember again, they are in Wargame. They're just health pip points. When you click on the unit, you can see them. There might be an option to turn those off if you really don't want to look at them. I suppose it's just a quick reference to see how your tank is faring compared to the enemy. Saves you clicking on the unit. I can sort of understand why it's there. See, again, that's a really nice shot, but it probably wouldn't happen in multiplayer because, you know, people are going to have air defences there, whereas here they've just managed to sweep in with some choppers and take those units out. But it looks nice for a video. And much like, you know, in Wargame, they haven't moved their mortars, they'd already be dead. You'd be moving them constantly in multiplayer. This is just an example of what units can do. I really do like the rocket artillery in this. It drives me bonkers in Wargame. I hate the stuff, but here it seems to be A, quite effective, and B, it looks really good. I quite like the tank shell fire. I think it needs tightening up a little bit. It looks a bit big at times, but it's quite nice. I really like the towns. I know it might not be to everyone's liking, but, you know, they've got a lot of buildings on a map. On some of the maps there are probably hundreds of buildings, if not 1,000 or more. And, you know, they're not all going to be different. They have to be some that are the same in any situation like that, or you just spend your life modelling buildings. A couple of people mentioned about the choppers dropping off infantry like they were there and here. It not being too varied or anything. I think there'll be variations and mutations on that as the game progresses. I mean, this is still quite early days. But it's nice, you know, we're seeing at least units in actual buildings, so it's not like blocks of buildings, it's in each individual building. We're not seeing destruction in this video of buildings. I don't know if that's definitely going to be in. I have seen it discussed that they were thinking about it. But obviously, again, early days, this might be something they think about or add in later. So watch this space rather than assume that it's definitely not going to be in. But it's nice to see a bit of infantry on infantry combat in this. Are they going to make use of those choppers is the next question. Rangers MMGs. There we go. Again, just nice shots of the landscape, attack choppers. There's a river there by the looks of it. I've not noticed that before. It didn't click when we watched the original footage yesterday. I mean, you can see that choppers are being very effective here. And let's be honest, modern choppers are very effective at taking out vehicles. But again, we're not seeing a lot of anti-air units here. And that's because this is a trailer. It's just to look good. It's not necessarily to show off how you would play a multiplayer. That'll be coming way down the line. You know, when we get our hands on it. Well, thank you to Steel Balalica and Felix in particular for showing the footage and presenting it yesterday. The man, the myth, the beard. So thank you very much for that. Thank you everyone who's tuned in to watch. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more Broken Arrow footage.